Social media can be an awesome way to spread the word about your acting projects or your content if you know how to do it correctly. But you have to be smart. You have to be really savvy about how you promote yourself online if you actually want to get results, that is. So, in today's live, I'm going to help you avoid the 5 biggest social media promotion no-nos that I see every single day on social media. It's really these mistakes that are keeping you from seeing results with your self promotion online, and they might even be causing you to lose followers. But we're going to fix them today so you don't have to worry about it. Hey, Indra. Hey, Katie in the chat. If we haven't met, I'm Heidi Dean, social media expert for actors and a Backstage expert. My clients include Broadway stars, Emmy Award winners, Tony Award winners, casting directors, filmmakers, and actors just like you guys. So I want to see who's here in the chat. Let me know where you're coming from, and let me know who's excited to learn how to promote yourself on social media without annoying the poop emoji out of your friends and fans, right? Because no one wants to be that actor. Okay, let me hop in the chat right now. All right. Indy the Iguana's here. Brian Pinella's here. Chad, Jared, Rubber Ducky is here from DC. Always like it when there's a rubber ducky in the chat. Awesome. Darren from London. Nista, Haley. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. Let me know by giving me a little thumbs up on this video if you're excited to learn how to promote yourself on social media without looking needy or pushy or, like I said, really annoying the poop emoji out of your friends. Let me know. Hey, Neophytos, right? That's how you say your name, right? Awesome. Okay, guys, so I'm going to dive right into those 5 mistakes that you're making, and I'm going to show you how to fix them. So mistake number 1 that I see a lot of you guys making is that you're only using social media for promotion, right? We all have that friend who rarely ever post unless they have a show or a booking, right? So they go from not posting for like a month or months to posting like 5 times a day about that thing they want us to know about. Let me know. Anyone know somebody like that? And hey, it might be you. But when we see this, all I want to do is say, whoa, slow down, right? Social media is not just for promotion. It's not just a self-promotional tool. Your social media should really be a mix of 3 types of posts. And you guys are going to want to write this down. If you don't have a pen, there'll be a replay when we're done on this YouTube channel, okay? But write this down. Your social media should be a mix of 3 types of posts. Brand building, that's number 1. Brand building, it's really simple. These posts just help us get a little behind the scenes of who you are as an actor and a human. These help tell your story, okay? That's post number 1. Post number 2 should be community post. These actually help you get to know your followers, okay? These posts help you get to know your followers, no matter what platform it's on. And number 3, the third type of post that you should be putting out there are those self-promotional posts, right? So you should be juggling brand building, community, self-promotion, brand building, community, self-promotion. It should be a nice, healthy mix of them, not just one. And that's what I see a lot of you guys doing. You are just juggling the self-promotional ball over and over again, but you're not creating any posts that help us get to know you better. And you're not creating any posts that help you get to know your followers better. Let me know in the chat if that makes sense, okay? Give me a heck yeah. You need to have a combination of those 3 types of posts, okay? Now, when I see an actor doing this, when everybody sees actors doing this, or businesses or anybody, then what we see is they hop on, they don't really use it for anything but self-promotion. And a lot of times you guys are repeating the same post over and over again. So you go on Twitter and every 2 hours, you're kind of saying the same thing. Check this out, right? I start to tune it out in the feed. I start to tune you out in the feed in these types of posts. And honestly, I don't even know if it's deliberate or I'm just used to tuning that kind of self-promotional in your face thing over and over again, right? And if you and I aren't BFFs, if we're not best friends, if I don't really know you, it's very, very possible that I may unfollow you, right? So you must juggle these 3 types of posts. Great. And I see, yes, it makes perfect sense. Okay. Remember those 3 types of posts: brand building, community, and self-promotion. And we're going to talk a little bit more about community posts in just a little bit. Okay. Now, I do get asked when I mention these three type of posts all the time, is there a magic equation? Should I do brand building like 80% of the time and community this many percentage of time and self-promotion 20% of the time? There is no magic equation, guys. And I know in marketing, there's the 80-20 rule and the 70-20-10 rule. You may have heard of these, right? But I'm really not a big fan of these rules because really you just need a healthy dose of each type of post, right? I don't want you to stress about the numbers. We just need to see a nice healthy mix. And what you're going to realize when we get to number 4 and 5 today, you're going to want to stick around. It's not really about what you're posting about. So it's not really that you're doing these self-promotional posts. It's how you post about it that matters. And I'm going to show you when we get to number 4 and 5 today, how you can take any post that seems like it might be, check this out, self-promotional. I'm going to show you how to turn that into a community post, how to make that post that gets people to engage. Okay, so stick around. All right. Okay, I'm going to answer questions too at the end, guys. Okay. Cool. So that's the first thing. I see a lot of you guys, you're just using social media for promotion, right? That's when you show up. That's when you come on social media just to tell us about your stuff. You got to mix it up. Now, like I said, we're going to get to community posts in a little bit. If you need help with those brand building posts, so posts that tell your story, I'll send you to a video on my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is youtube.com/Heidi Dean. But in the description of this video, I have a video that is 30 post ideas. Okay. And a lot of these are brand building posts. Okay. So you're definitely going to go want to watch that video when we're done here today. It's 30 post ideas for actors on my YouTube channel, and that will help you with the brand building post. Got it? Okay. Hey, Sindoro. I love when you're here. All right. So that's the first thing. You guys are only using social media for promotion. You got to mix it up. Number 2, another big mistake I see you guys making when you're trying to promote your stuff, and I'm seeing it more and more, especially on Instagram now. You're sending these random cut and paste direct messages to go watch your web series, to go watch your YouTube video, to come see your show, to have me contribute to your crowdfunding campaign. I think your stuff is awesome, but the problem, you guys are doing this on Twitter, Instagram. Sometimes you're sending me Facebook personal messages to go watch your stuff. And this just doesn't work. I'm going to show you how you can make it work, but the way you're doing it right now, just these cut and paste messages doesn't work. And here's why. When I receive a message from someone that I barely speak to, I barely know, I might not even recognize in my inbox on social media, chances are it's usually a cut and paste generic promo message that they're trying to send to as many people as possible, right? They're just like sending it out, hoping that somebody's going to view their video, somebody's going to go watch their show, right? And you know what that's called? That's not savvy self-promotion. That's called spam, actually. You're basically saying to me, I don't care who you are. All I care about is the number of views I get on my video or the number of tickets I sell for my show. That's what you're telling me, right? Now, you can utilize your direct messages on Twitter, on Instagram. They can be really powerful. They can be a really powerful marketing tool, but you have to be savvy about it. Okay, you need to personalize them. And what I see all the time, it's really a cut and paste message. You don't even use my name, or you put me on a group message, even worse, right? Now, good thing for you guys to know, the best way to get on anybody's radar or to get someone's attention, so you want to send me a message about your show, is to appeal to their ego, right? Appeal to my ego. And the simplest way to appeal to someone's ego in a message is to just use their name. It's as simple as that. So instead of sending me this cut and paste direct message, use my name. Hey, Heidi. Right? So simple. Now, even better, make the beginning of the message about me, not them. Thank me for something. Maybe tell me that you joined me on a live, and then tell me about your stuff. Does it always work with direct messages? No. But you're going to get a lot further doing it that way, appealing to my ego, than just sending out these direct message blasts. Make sense, guys? Okay, let me know if that makes sense. And what's great is when you do this, when you really personalize it, you're actually going to get a true follower, a true fan, a true subscriber, not just a passive view. Got it? Let me know if that makes sense. Indy the Iguana says yes. And if Indy's happy, We know everyone's happy. Haley says makes perfect sense. Cool. I'm going to have some coffee. All right. So that's number 2, guys. Number 3, before we get to 4 and 5, I'm actually going to talk about how to transform your post. But I want to get to some of these mistakes first, okay? So so many of you guys, your number 1 promotional strategy to spread the word about your, about your projects is spaghetti promoting in Facebook groups. I don't even think I have to explain what that means. If you're doing it, you know what I'm talking about. So spaghetti promoting, using the same post everywhere and dropping it into this Facebook group and dropping it into this Facebook group and this one and this one and this one and this one. You're kind of doing the same thing as the direct messages, right? You're trying to see what is going to work. Am I going to get a couple views here and a couple views here, a couple views here? That's not self-promotion strategy. That's just spaghetti strategy, right? And it doesn't work very often, and you're probably going to be kicked out of a lot of groups. And I know this because I have a Facebook group for actors, the Social Savvy Actors. So obviously I admin that group, but I also work with businesses, not just actors. And the businesses I work with, most of them are acting coaches. They're arts administrators. They're all people that work with actors, right? So that means I admin a whole lot of groups. And I see this. I actually see some of you because I recognize you from my group, and you're doing the same thing, right? I'm not telling you not to do this. I'm just telling you to do it savvier, okay? So it actually works. A Facebook group is going to have, if it's a good group, it's going to have a certain vibe to it. A lot of groups, like my group, they're called the Savvy Actors. A lot of people, when they post in there, they say, hey, Savvy Actors. I know my buddy DeJuan Johnson, that's on Bosch, he has an awesome group called the Think Bigger Tribe. And everyone, when they hop in that group to post, they say, hey, tribe. So there's a dialogue. I know there's the talent managers for actors group that people pop in and go, hey, TMFA, right? So if you're going to use these groups, speak their language, use their name, right? Use the group members' names, appeal to the admin's ego, appeal to the people in the group's ego, right? And tell us what it's about, what's in it for me. And a lot of times I see when you guys are spaghetti posting, a lot of times you're just dropping a link to your thing, which doesn't tell me what your web series, whatever you're trying to promote, is about. I need to know what's in it for me. Why should I spend 5 minutes of my day to go watch this? I'm sure it's awesome, but you have to tell me what's in it for me. And everyone thinks that when they see you drop a random link into a group, okay? And it's the same thing when you just say, hey, check out my new episode of my web series, right? Or my new YouTube video. Your YouTube video, your web series, whatever you're working on, whatever you're trying to promote, is not for everyone. And if you think it is, then that's a whole nother live. Katie, we should write it down. Your content, the thing you're promoting, has an audience. So make sure in that post in that Facebook group, you tell us who it's going to appeal to, right? Just off the top of my head, is your project, like, maybe you love Stranger Things, like me. So maybe you like Stranger Things, and the web series you created, kind of reminds us of that, or it's done in that style. Maybe it's set in the 80s too. So why not start that post with, hey, where are my Stranger Things fans at, right? So where are my Stranger Things fans at? So you're already identifying who your audience is before you drop the link in there, right? You're really saying this is for this person and it's not for this other person, which is important if you're effectively promoting your content, your bookings, anything. Who's your audience and who's not? Yes, future live on determining your audience, possibly for content creators, or definitely. So, all right, let me know if that makes sense. And hey, guys, let me know. I'm going to look in the chat. Let me know if you're guilty of the spaghetti promoting or the direct messages or using social media for promotion. I know you guys, not all of you guys are going to be guilty of all of these things. Let me move my podcasting mic here. There we go. Not all of you guys are going to be guilty of all these things, but it's good to recognize it, right? We've all been guilty of some of these self-promotion mistakes at some point. Okay, someone just says, yes, ma'am, guilty as charged, but that's what today is about. It's about fixing them. Awesome. Brian said thumbs up. Okay, guys, so let's move on to numbers 4 and 5 for self-promotion strategies for actors. Now, the mistake I see you guys making that we're going to fix right now is that you're talking at us instead of talking with us. Okay, you're talking at us instead of talking with us. Social media is social. It's in the name, right? It's about communicating with your audience, not at your audience. And most of you guys, not all of you, but a lot of actors, you use your social media like this thing, right? Like a megaphone to broadcast your news at people instead of using it like a telephone to talk with people. Very important. Write this down, guys. Social media is more like a telephone than a megaphone. I'm going to repeat that. Social media is more like a telephone than a megaphone. And when you make that switch, everything you do with your self-promotion is going to change. Everything we talked about thus far, megaphone approach, trying to get people to notice me, notice my show, notice my web series, instead of trying to talk with me, right? You notice the solution for 1, 2, and 3 was always a conversation. All right. Nice props. I always have props, guys. You should always wait for the prop. There's always going to be some sort of prop. Awesome. So social media is more like a telephone than a megaphone. Okay. It's about conversations. It's about dialogue. And when you make your post a conversation, okay, especially the promotional ones, you can actually post about your projects, your bookings, everything all the time, really. Why? Because you are actually taking the focus off yourself by taking your post from an all about me, and all about me, to a we, right? This is why I said I'm not a big fan of those equations, the 80-20 rule or anything, because if you make your post a conversation, you can post about them really all the time, okay? Now, there's a lot of ways we can turn our post into conversations, but I want to give you guys the easiest one you can do the minute we're done here today, okay? So the first way we can do this, the first way we can take any post that you might put out there today to go watch your stuff, is to just turn that post into a question. Turn it into a question, add a question at the end. So instead of saying, watch my web series for the 10th time this week, why not ask us what our favorite episode this season was? Why not ask us your favorite character? Or why not ask us if we were surprised by a certain moment that happened? Now it doesn't seem self-promotional at all. It's actually community building. Remember in the beginning, we talked about those 3 types of posts that you should be putting out there: brand building, community building, and promotional. Now we just turned something that would have been totally self-promotional into a community post just by turning it into a question. Okay, asking a question in your social media post, actually, it prompts a dialogue with your followers. I mean, I know personally, when I see a question in my feed, it's hard for me not to answer it, right? Especially if it's like, obviously, if I'm the target audience for that, it's hard for me not to at least drop an emoji in there, say, heck yeah, totally agree, put 100 emoji in there, right? I feel compelled to answer. And that's why, actually, making this shift, right? So stopping talking. You're not talking at us anymore. You're talking with us. You're turning that post into a question. That promotional post has a great side effect. And that side effect is that you're going to notice that your engagement's going to increase on your post because you're asking questions, right? People are going to start going, oh yeah, I like this guy. He's treating social media like it should be a conversation. Okay, so please, 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 if you take anything from today, start treating your social media posts like a telephone, not a megaphone. Okay, take a picture, mention me on Instagram so we can spread the word. Awesome. Mistake number 5 that we are going to fix today was self-promotion. You guys are posting with your blinders on, and you need to take your blinders off. Okay. If you follow me for any length of time, I've talked about my mom numerous times. She was a first grade teacher for 30 years. So much of the etiquette and the things I know on social media really come from how she raised me. And I remember when I was a teenager, if there's any teenagers watching me right now, this is not a dig on you, it's a dig on me. Okay. When I was a teenager, I got how, some teenagers sometimes do, a little selfish. Right? We only start seeing what we want to see. We have these blinders up. And my mom, when I was a teenager, used to look at me and say, Heidi, take off the blinders. Take down the blinders. You're only thinking about yourself. You're not seeing anybody else, not seeing anything else around you. And what's funny is over time, she wouldn't even have to say that whole speech. She would just say, Heidi, take off the blinders. And then over time, she would just look me in the eye and go, to this day, if I see my mom, if she does that, I know exactly what it means. But you guys are doing the same thing, right? When we get in self-promotion mode as an artist, especially when we need views, we need to sell tickets, we need to get butts in the seats, we tend to have blinders on, right? We get selfish and our posts are really about us. And what you need to do is you need to take down the blinders, just like my mom, okay? Just like my mom told me to do, not my mom. We can do this a lot of different ways as well. But an easy way that you guys can do right away when we're done here today to take down the blinders is what I call posting with gratitude. Okay. So next time you post about a project you're working on or a project you worked on in the past, maybe it's a Throwback Thursday, or anything that would be considered self-promotional, instead of talking about yourself, I want you to invite someone else into the conversation by making them the subject of the post. I'm going to repeat that just in case that was confusing. Okay, next time you post something that might be self-promotional, might be about a project, instead of just talking about yourself, make the post about someone else. Okay? The subject of your post can be your followers. It can be fans of the show. It can be a fellow cast member. It can be a director, the producer. It can be the whole project. This is so simple to do. So instead of, check me out when I was on this, I see it all the time. How many Throwback Thursdays? It's really all about you. What if instead you said it was such an honor to work with James Spader on The Blacklist, right? My husband did this when he guest starred on one of the season finales of The Blacklist and got to work with James Spader. And the response to that post was so much more than it ever would have been had he had just said, hey, check me out on set shooting with James Spader, which is what I see a lot of you guys doing. But he really said, it was such an honor. And he actually talked about what he learned from working with him. And what was amazing when he made this post, when he took off the blinders, right? And he posted with gratitude, the Blacklist writers retweeted it. All sorts of people that were fans of the show now became part of this conversation, right? Because it wasn't all about him. It was about James Spader. It was about the Blacklist. It was about the whole project. Make sense, guys? Let me know if that makes sense. My mom, hey, my mom has made me who I am today, right? She is awesome. I should have had a picture of her today as one of my props. All right, guys. So you're going to start posting with gratitude today. And what really happens when you do this is number one, it almost works all the time. That's what's amazing about posting with gratitude. As long as you're doing it authentically, it's like 100% success rate, right? Why? Because you're posting about the people you've worked with. You're posting about the projects. The post is about them. It's a we. It's no longer an all about me, right? You've taken off those blinders. My mom would be so proud, right? Thank you, Mom. And my mom is still here. I just realized I looked up. She lives in Maine, so that's north of me now. So I'm going to wrap it up so we can get to questions. But think about what we talked about in points 4 and 5, okay? 4 and 5. My numbers are way off today and my fingers. If you post about your bookings in this way, really treating your social media like a telephone, not this megaphone, right? Posting with gratitude. You'll never have to worry that you're looking pushy or needy, or that you're going to annoy the crap out of your friends, right? I don't know if you guys can see this on my thing. You don't have to worry about that, right? Because the post is a conversation. The post is about the whole project, the whole community. Got it? So let me just run through those 5 mistakes really fast, and then I'm going to open up the floor to questions. Marie, I love you too. So what we talked about today, 5 big social media no-nos that I see you guys do all the time when you're trying to promote your awesome stuff, but your stuff. Number 1, some of you are only using social media for self-promotion. Remember, you got to juggle those 3 types of posts. You're going to do those brand building, community, promotion, okay? You're going to do a little bit of all of them so that you're not always using social media for self-promotion. Got it? That's number 1. Number 2, you're going to stop sending those random direct messages on Twitter and Instagram, and especially on Facebook profiles, to go watch your stuff, right? If you're going to go that route with using direct messages, you're going to personalize them, right? You're going to appeal to my ego. You're going to at least use my name, right? Make it personal. Let me know what's in it for me. You're going to stop spaghetti promoting in all those Facebook groups. It's probably getting you kicked out anyways, right? And you're not seeing results. You're going to personalize it for the group. You're going to figure out who's the audience for this, right? And Tell us in that post. I use the Stranger Things example. Where are my Stranger Things fans at? You're going to love this episode, right? And tell us why. Okay. Number 4, you're going to stop talking at us. You're going to talk with us. And you can see this applies to everything. How many times have I referred to you guys in the chat, given shout outs, asked questions, asked you guys, let me know you're still there. Even when you're going live, you need to start talking with us instead of talking at us. Okay. One more time so you can see the prop. We're going to start using it like a telephone, not a megaphone when you're promoting. You're going to talk with us. And lastly, you're going to take off the blinders. Right? Take off those blinders, post with gratitude, and make your post a we and not all about me, me, me. Got it? All right. I am going to answer some questions. Let's see what time it is too. Oh, not too bad. Okay, I'm going to answer some questions. I'm going to get closer so my old eyes can see the chat. Shut this. All right. Okay. All right. If you guys have questions about social media for actors, that's what I'm going to answer questions about. Questions about anything we talked about today with promotion, questions about Instagram, questions about Facebook, how to use them as an actor. That is what I am focusing this talk on. Obviously, there's a million Backstage experts out there that can help you get an agent and all that. But I want to focus this on social media. Now we can talk about how to get an agent using social media, but I want to keep it focused. All right, Mabel. Hey, Mabel. Good to see you. Yes, that makes sense. Thank you for sharing your tips with us, Heidi. You're welcome. And if some of you guys are new to this live, I go live about every other week here about social media and marketing for actors. Okay, so I'll be back in a couple weeks for a little Thanksgiving live. All right. Your mom was also a teacher for 30 years. Awesome. Yeah, my mom taught first grade for 30 years and preschool special ed. She impacted so many people's lives and, including my own. So, all right. Okay. Rubber Ducky, great question. What are your thoughts on posting the same thing across platforms versus posting different content on each? It depends what the post is. Rubber Ducky, if you ask another question, let me know your name. So I don't just call you Ducky. So yes, you can post the same type of post across platforms, but you have to know that every social network has its own language, right? How you use hashtags, which we are going to have a whole live on hashtags in December. How you use hashtags on Twitter is slightly different than Instagram. It's slightly different than Facebook, right? It's slightly different than TikTok, right? So if you're just cutting and pasting that post everywhere, you're not going to get the best results. Okay. So depending on what it is, obviously there's different image sizes. So what I like to say, if you're posting an image, square works everywhere. Okay. If you keep the subject of the post in the middle. Okay. So make sure your image is going to work everywhere. Make sure if it's a video, there's different platforms have different amounts, lengths of time, right? On Instagram, we get 60 seconds if we're just talking about on the grid. YouTube, we got unlimited. Facebook, we've got a lot more time, but Twitter, you get 240 seconds. Never understood why it's a weird number like that, but that's what we get, right? So you can't always repurpose the same thing everywhere. Okay. I think it's easier now that Facebook actually is indexing hashtags to repurpose everywhere, but make sure you're actually, Rubber Ducky, learning the language of the platform. Okay. I repurpose all the time. If you are here and you follow me on TikTok, you might notice that I repurpose on Instagram. But sometimes it's with a different call to action, right? Because where the buttons are on TikTok over here, if I'm pointing this way, aren't where they are on Reels. Right? So you have to just know the language to make sure you're properly reposting everywhere. And I think it's on our list to do a live on repurposing at some point. So we'll write that one down too, Katie, because we seem to get that question a lot. It's a hard question to answer when I can't show you guys an example of like, okay, let's start with Twitter. How would we move that to Instagram? How would we move it here? And how would I tweak it? Okay. All right. I'm going to scroll back up. Sindora thought something was funny. Awesome. I always want to be an actress, but I'm not on any social media app. What should I do to get a role? Well, number one, first of all, this is more of an acting related question, but so I'll answer it to get you started. The first thing you have to do, social media doesn't matter if you don't have training. Social media doesn't matter if you don't have foundation, right? The foundation for an actor is their craft, it's their training. right? So you need to, I think it's Nishta, um, get into an acting class. There's tons of virtual options. If you can't do that right now because you don't have the money or the means to do it, then just read acting books. There's tons of them. If you follow me on TikTok, I have I have a semi-recent post that has like, I think 12 different acting books to get you started. And I know Backstage has lots of articles on the topic as well. Okay. So you got to train. Social media doesn't matter if you don't have a foundation. All right. So that's your first step to get a role in a show is you got to get that training. Okay. Then add your social media. And more, for the industry, if I had to choose one place to say you should go there, I would say Instagram. It's becoming kind of a one-stop shop. It is the platform the industry does look at when they say, oh, let's look up an actor on social media. Usually they are going to Instagram first, right? So for that reason, if you're going to choose one, I'd say make it Instagram. But it has become like a one-stop shop now that we have stories, aka Snapchat, now that we have Reels, also known as TikTok, now that we have IGTV, also known as YouTube, right? So Instagram has kind of put together this platform that incorporates so many different elements from all the other platforms. Instagram Live, Facebook, that's who, well, they weren't the first, but they're the ones that have done it on the largest level, except for YouTube, of course. I don't want YouTube to shut me off right now for saying that, but okay, Nishna, so get your training. And then if you want to hop on one platform, I'd say start with Instagram. It's always based on what your goals are. And I did do another live a little while ago, but it's still very, it's very topical and correct about how to choose your social media platforms because it needs to be based on your goals. Okay. And I'm sure Katie will drop that, how to choose a social media platform live in the chat for you guys. All right. Okay, Sophia, how do you find casting calls over social media? Well, you got to know, Sophia, you can find auditions using social media. There's a lot of casting directors on Twitter that post casting calls. A lot of them are open calls. I've seen agencies post. Well, this was before COVID. They were posting drop-offs for headshots. And these were big. This was like CESD, right? This was for the print department. They were actually doing an open drop-off because they want a new client. So you do see these things on social media. I see them a lot more often on Twitter. But what you have to get focused on is who do you want to work for? What kind of jobs do you want to do? Because you can't just follow every casting director on social media. That's pointless because they're going to be all over the world. So Sophia, think about what region are you in? Where can you work right now? Okay, where can you work? Who casts those projects that you want to be a part of? And go follow them on social media. Okay, some of them may or may not be posting casting calls on social media, but you can build relationships with them. Okay, but I mean, hey, we're on Backstage right now. You're going to find more auditions on Backstage than on social media. Okay, social media is really good for building relationships and brand building, but you're not going to find as many auditions. Okay, not to say you can't find them, but it's not the ratio is, it's all about relationships. Audition finding is about here. Okay. Sindoro, you just moved. Something about stories. What happened? Where did you go? Sindoro, is it better to use Instagram stories to promote or just regular posts? It's really up to you. I think you need a combination of both because Instagram stories disappears in 24 hours. So if your whole strategy is to use stories, then we're going to miss a lot of those posts unless you're putting them in your highlights. I think you should use a little bit of the different neighborhoods, right? The one part of Instagram that I think not everyone will use is IGTV. You're going to use IGTV just like you would use a YouTube channel or similar. It's for longer form content. If you guys don't know what IGTV is, it's Instagram TV. It came around, I think, almost 2 years ago now, and they've been tweaking it. But it's longer form content. So if you have something over 60 seconds, you can put it on IGTV. Okay. This is a great place where you could put your reel, longer content, just like you would for YouTube, right? That doesn't belong on Instagram Reels. That belongs on IGTV. Makes sense? Okay. If you wanted to start a kind of vlog style series, or you had a web series, you can do your web series on IGTV. There's a series called the Double Jack web series that's really, really funny. And you can look them up on Instagram, Double Jack. And they did their whole promotion on Instagram and IGTV. They decided to not go the YouTube route. Okay, so that's mainly why you would use IGTV. But I say everybody else, use the grid. You know, that's all the posts we see. I call it the grid. And use stories. Start incorporating reels into that. Okay, use a little bit of both. Sandora, we don't want all your posts just disappearing. All right. Brian, oh, this is a big thing right now. Brian, I'm assuming you're in the US, confused on how to search to find out how many followers each hashtag is. Well, it's not how many followers. Okay, Brian's one of my Insta actors in my class, my Insta actor class. You can't do it right now, Brian. I'm about ready to send an email out. It's not how many, when you go into a hashtag search, guys, so when you're trying to see who's using hashtags on Instagram, you're going into a hashtag search, right? What you do is you go and explore, you go into tags, and you can search for any hashtag. And a number is going to be at the top. And this tells us how many posts are out there for that hashtag. So it's not really followers. It's how many people have actually created a post with that hashtag, right, Brian? It's usually very easy to go in and get this information. Because of the US election, they have shut down all hashtag feeds. And I don't know if this is outside of the US, but they shut down all hashtag feeds for recent posts. And that means the numbers of hashtags, right? They say it's coming back, but just right now we don't have access to that. Okay. You can use a tool right now. You can use Right Tag, RITE tag. You can also use a tool called Flick. I love that tool for hashtags, and you can still get hashtag numbers for that. And actually in Insta Actor, Flick is under that video. So just find it from there, okay? But it's because of the election right now, that's why. And hopefully we're gonna get them back, okay? It's very easy once you can see those numbers once they come back. All right, let me go back up, it keeps moving. All right, Indy, my name is Indigo Nicholson, perfect. Do you think I should change my social media name? Would it be more professional? Well, I think, Indy, you said you just use YouTube for gaming. I'm thinking it was. I mean, it would be more professional to have your real name, and you should have it across social media if you're using those platforms as an actor. I mean, think about it, Indy, if you're hopping on Backstage, there's so many great lives with all sorts of experts, acting coaches, casting directors, producers, and you're always talking as Indy the Iguana. I mean, hey, it catches my eye, but wouldn't it be better if I actually knew your name was Indigo Nicholson, which is an awesome name? By now I would know that, right? It's brand recognition. Your name is your brand. So honestly, I would say yes. You know, and you can have two YouTubes. You can have your gaming YouTube, and then you can have your acting YouTube. They let us do that, okay? Tracy, thank you for joining me. Hi. Are behind the scenes pictures, videos okay to have as a post? Yes, as long as you're not breaking any rules, obviously. Okay, always check your contract. That's the first thing you need to do before you post. Is first question you need to ask if it's about, you know, your actor's life. Am I breaking any contracts or NDAs by posting this? Okay, and if you're not sure, contact the PR department or just wait until it airs. Okay, so yes, actually behind the scenes are great. People love to see the behind the scenes of what happens on TV. Right? Especially over time, most of your followers will not be actors and they won't understand how the acting world works. So the more you can show them that, they eat those posts up, right? But just make sure you're not revealing anything that can get you in trouble. Okay? All right. And your name is Ducky. Okay, Rubber Ducky. Perfect. Your name is Ducky. I love it. Okay. Let's see. Thank you for the amazing information. You're welcome. Just wanted to ask you if foreign actors can work in the US or Europe as an international actor, or you need to be extraordinary. Well, you can work anywhere, but you're going to need a visa to work here. So, and you can't expect, I mean, yes, there are sometimes they are looking for someone that is a foreign actor. They're looking for something very specific. They may search outside the US, but for the most part, you got to think about, especially right now with what's going on in the world, they're hiring locally everywhere. I'm in New York, born and raised in California, but now I'm in New York. Right, you know, a lot of times there'd be roles in LA that they would also like cast out of New York. My husband gets called in for those TV roles all the time. They're going to shoot in LA, but they're also looking at New York actors. Right now, that's not happening as much because they want to have local actors because of COVID rules. Okay. They're not into flying somebody across the country and having to put them up with all the COVID restrictions in place. Okay. So right now is probably not the best time to try to be an international actor and then try to get a job in LA if they're not even pulling from New York. I suggest always trying to find opportunities where you're at, right? That whether you're out of the country, you're in a small town, where's the next largest town before you try to move to LA or New York, a big market, right? There might be an opportunity for you to build your resume to get the credits so that you can compete in that market. Okay. Awesome. Hey, Johan. Okay. All right. Do I even want to know what those messages were that were deleted? Okay. Indy the Iguana, you're not a gamer. Well, then if you're not using that name for anything, then change it. Yeah. Okay. Do you guys have any questions for me about social media that aren't all these that were apparently deleted by the wonderful Katie? I'm glad I didn't have to see them. Let's see. Can making connections on social media help you with your career? Yes. I mean, you got to think about it. Your career is about your connections. Your network is your net worth, right? And really how well you stay in touch with the people you already know in this business, how well you expand that network with the people you want to work with can definitely decide the size of that network. Your network is your net worth. Okay. So yes, the great thing about social media is in the past, before social media, we used to have to do all this in person. Right? Like years ago, if you wanted to know somebody, you had to find a way to meet them in person. You had to, if you wanted to stay top of mind with the people you already knew, yes, you could pick up the phone, but think about how many people you've worked with over 5-10 years. That's impossible. Now we can actually just stay top of mind with them every day on social media if you have a system and if you're organized. Okay. So yes, social media that is actually one of the biggest benefits of social media is to help you build relationships, to help you strengthen your existing relationships as an actor. Okay. It's like the reason to be on social. All right. Catalina, thank you for joining me. Great advice as always. We use your advice later today to make sure all Chicago PD fans tune in tonight. I'll be making an appearance. Awesome. Yay, Catalina. Let's watch her on Chicago PD. Yes, make those posts a conversation. And especially if you're dropping them in different groups, personalize them. It's going to go so much further. Okay. Awesome. You're super lucky because although you're Canadian, you're also American citizen. So you're in the States booking roles. Perfect. That's awesome. Love Canada. I just spoke at the Joey Awards, which are the Canadian Child Actor Awards, virtually, of course. But it was a great group of very talented, very awesome child and teen actors. Okay, Sindora, how many hashtags should we use in a post? Where? It's different everywhere. But let's talk about Instagram because I'm pretty sure you're on Instagram because you're here a lot. Instagram tells us that we can use up to 30 posts on 30 hashtags on a post. Just go look it up in hashtags on Instagram help. You can use up to 30 hashtags on a post, okay? As long as they're relevant to the subject of the post, right? They've got to be relevant. So you can use up to 30, make sure they're relevant. And we've talked about before that depending on the size of your following, you're going to want to lean into, especially on Instagram and TikTok too, hashtags that are a little less popular. Okay, a little less popular. I always compare it to Goldilocks and the Three Bears hashtags on Instagram. You remember Goldilocks? She breaks into the Three Bears' house. She is eating their food, sitting in their chairs, sleeping in their beds. It's totally scandalous, right? But every time something's either too big, it's too small, or it's just right. And that, Sindoro, is how you need to choose hashtags on Instagram and on TikTok, okay, if you're there. You don't want them to be those hashtags that have millions and millions of followers. You don't want to just use those, like hashtag actor's life all the time. You don't want to use hashtags that only have 100 posts all the time because no one's looking for those, right? If you want to use hashtags to grow, of course. You want to use the hashtags that are in the middle. They are just right for you to show up and search. Okay. And we did talk about it just a little while ago. Right now, if you're in the US, hashtag searches are are shut down right now anyways because of the election. So so definitely lean into those just right tags so you actually show up as a top post for those less trafficked hashtags. Let me know if that makes sense, Sindoro. We actually dove into this in another live when we talked about Instagram. Okay. All right. All right. Okay, good. If I don't see another question, I am going to sign off for today because I'm going to be back in a couple weeks, right around Thanksgiving. I'm going to talk about why every actor should be grateful for social media in the spirit of Thanksgiving. Okay, Sindora says makes sense. Perfect. Thank you so much for joining me here today. I can't wait to see you guys posting with a purpose, posting, asking questions, making your post a conversation, not shouting at us. I can't wait to see how you incorporate these posts. Do the work, and I'll see you again. Until next time, I'll see you on social. Bye.